We have Bret Saberhagen sitting right here. Good to see you, Bret Saberhagen.
Always good to see you.
You got it. Paul Rudd.
Hi, Rich.
Paul Rudd, good to see you, host of The Big Slick, along with 4 of your good friends. Would you like to describe to the radio audience the hat that you are wearing sitting next to Bret Saberhagen right now?
By the way, crazy.
You were about 2 years old at the time, right?
That's right. I was 2 years old. I remember it clearly because I was born in 1983. I found this hat last week. I was in a box of like kind of hats that I had. This was my hat from 1985, which obviously the gentleman I'm sitting next to.
It's the World Series 1985 with the writing looking so old school, like it would be on the sheets that you used to sleep on with all the other logos of the Major League Baseball
That's
teams.
right.
Right?
Uh-huh. And it's got the Cardinals logo, the Royals logo, and the way it fits, I couldn't tell it's from 85. It's bent and weird.
I love it.
It looks great.
Yeah.
It looks all right? It isn't too high, because sometimes it's always a weird thing when people have the hats and they just went up to a little too high. It's like a mix of a top hat and a baseball hat.
It looks good on you, man.
What if I wear it like this,
really
just resting on top of the hat?
Now that looks fitting. Looks like what you wore in 1985.
Go with it. Yeah.
Go with it.
Especially with the fountains coming out behind you and the way that we have the shot. Now, Bret, I know you were before when you saw that we had the 2015 World Series trophy.
I'm a big fan of that one, but
I know.
where's that other one that the old guy
the
won?
1985 one.
1985.
Okay. Because you are somebody that we
look
want
at
to make sure
this.
you're happy. Come on in.
I love it. Thank you,
Kurt
Kurt.
and Lisa of the Royals Hall of Fame
Wow.
has taken out your trophy, and we will replace the 2015 one with the 1985
look at
one.
this.
Oh, look at that.
Just for you.
Just the best.
Wow.
Thank you, Kurt.
And just like they
Yeah.
say, and well, what do you think of this one right here?
I tell you, it's an oldie but a goodie. I tell you, it always brings back unbelievable memories. This place where Paul grew up is home away from home for me. I get probably back to Kansas City probably 3-4 times, 5 times a year. I've already been this third visit this year already, and it's kind of cool. Salvi and we actually did a little thing a couple weeks ago, raising money for the charity in that meet and greet with the 2 World Series MVPs.
Salvador Perez. You're
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So they brought out both trophies then, and it's always good to see Salvi. Salvi's a great ambassador of the game and a great player, and loved in Kansas City.
And again, because we're trying to make sure you are happy, Bret Saberhagen, certainly since Paul
You got
Rudd,
a smile on me.
I know that. As they say in the game show business, but wait, there's more.
What?
They took the Cy Young
New car.
awards.
Ah.
The 2
Oh,
of
wow.
them, and we have those right here. You can put them right here on the desk if you don't mind. That's one.
Look at
Man.
this.
One Cy
I've
Young
never
award.
seen one of these in person.
A Cy Young award.
Never,
No, I will
never.
be careful. Don't you worry. You got them all set up.
All right.
Okay.
You guys are.
There you go.
I think I'm going to have to tip you very well for all this.
Well, thanks,
So-
Kurt and
Paul.
Lisa. I appreciate
Yeah.
So now-
unloading the vault.
So you don't get to keep these? These stay here?
Replicas.
These are
This is not a replica. Those
Yeah.
are replicas.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
But, Paul, we have some nice parting gifts for you.
What do you have?
Tell Paul what he's won, everybody.
a jar of turtle wax.
you get a 1985 World Series hat. Now, is it true, Paul, that for that famed Game 6, that famed Don Denkinger call at the first base line right here in this here stadium, you were here for that game,
That's
as
right.
were 2 other hosts of the Big Slick
That's right.
event.
We were all, we didn't know each other then, but we were all at that game. I was sitting right over there, just opposite the just off third base, behind the dugout.
Right.
And it was the greatest game I've ever been to. I mean, I was there for just recently too, but I never remember when they won that game. No one left the stadium, and I remember everybody hugging each other in the stands. And 20 minutes later, after the game, everybody was still there.
He's a huge fan, though. When we first met was 2014.
Yeah.
You were up in the suite over there, and somebody mentioned, hey, Paul's up there. Would you like to meet him? And I said, oh, yeah, absolutely. So I came up and met your family, and We've been friends for a long time, but
Yeah.
a huge Royals fan. He's at all the games.
Yeah, it was
Paul,
quite a thrill to meet Bret for sure.
I was about to say, because
Yeah.
I know you,
Yeah,
and
just
I know
hearing him say that, I'm like, give me a break. Even sitting here wearing my hat from the series and sitting next to Bret Saberhagen.
and the trophy
Yeah.
and the 2 replicas of
Yeah.
the Cy Young. It's difficult to see you over these things, by the way. They're sitting right here between us. Who were the other 2 Big Slickers hosts who were in the stadium that night?
Well, Sudeikis was there and Riggle was there.
Who had the best seats? Do we know who had the best seats?
I don't know. You know, I had pretty good. Of that series. I got to go to Game 2 and Game 6, and I guess my dad had some tickets to Game 7, but had given them away, so I didn't get to go to Game 7, and instead I had to work at a grocery store, sacking groceries, and nobody came in. So but the boss.
Wait, you were bagging groceries
I was
during
bagging
Game 7
groceries
of the
for Game
1985
7 at work, but not really because nobody was even in the store. Everyone was home watching the game. But the boss made me go clean the bathrooms while he sat up front and watched the game on TV, and I didn't get to even. I'd come in and check in, and
Sounds like a crappy job.
It was terrible.
What was your boss's name? Let's get
His name was Ed, and I've called him out already on shows because I never got over it. Furious. This is the worst thing to do to somebody. I'd come up, I'd say, "What happened?" He goes, "Daryl Motley just hit a home run." Go! And then and they go back to the
Grab
toilets.
a mop.
Go rearrange the milk.
What was it like around here, Bret, in '85 when
I
that
tell you,
happened here in Kansas City?
You know what was really kind of cool was the governor's train, from what I've been told. My mom was on it. So it went from Kansas City and right up to St. Louis. And so you went from towns with blue, and the Royals, of course, you know, everybody's wearing blue here. And the further you got towards St. Louis, it became a kind of a mixture of red and blue, you know, the supporting. And then by the time you got to St. Louis, it was all pretty much red. So the fans have always been just tremendous fans here. And I don't know if since the stadium has changed that it's a lot louder, because when I was here for 2014 playoffs and World Series, and then 2015, this stadium seems like it's so much louder. Maybe because I was down in the thick of things and it kind of toned that out a little bit. But this stadium was rocking in 2014 and 15.
Yeah.
It was very loud.
And I know you went to some of those games in New York too, Paul. I know you were.
What?
You went to. I know you can't hear me over the.
The Cy Young Award is getting
It's getting
in the way.
I know you went to some of those games in New York as well.
I did.
Did you go to every game?
I went to everyone. I came to everyone
Dude.
out here in 2014 and everyone in 2015 too, and playoffs. Yeah.
I think he had a little bit better seats.
Yeah, this time than you
Not
did.
so much. No, not so. They were. Yeah, they were okay.
Well, compared to the bathroom.
better than in '85.
Let's put it this way: you were not scrubbing toilets.
I was definitely not scrubbing
And Ed,
toilets.
where was Ed? Was Ed here? Was Ed?
Yeah, you
Where
know
is
what?
Ed?
I think Ed might have been at Price Chopper or something, bagging groceries.
Let's take one more break. When we come back, we'll finish the show with Paul Rudd and Bret Saberhagen. Bret, I do want to ask you about the epidemic of strikeouts in Major League Baseball that is happening right now, with May following up April as the only months in the history of the sport, where there were more strikeouts than hits. And I just want to get your 2 cents on that, talk a little bit more about Big Slick, and then send everyone on the road for the rest of the day. That's how we're rolling here from Kauffman Stadium here in Kansas City, with a champion of the Kansas City Royals next to the trophy that he helped win in 1985, next to Paul Rudd. That's when we come back. Look, when we started this show in October of 2014, I always thought like an event like this here at Big Slick is exactly what a show that I wanted to be part of is: sports and pop culture and actors and celebrities all coming together for a charity event. And I want to thank everybody at AT&T when I said, hey, how about let's give this a whirl? And they all say yes, and they all said yes, from Dan York and Jerry Ann Agavino and everybody back at the shop on down. And I just want to also give a shout out to the technical crew: Eric Jones, Alan Guzzi, Kevin Thompson, good old KT, Rambo, TP Barker, Peter Smith, the whole crew from the Royals. I want to thank Mike Swanson, Toby Cook, Amanda Turk, Isaac Rifle. I hope I'm pronouncing Isaac's name correctly. Melissa Blanchett from Aramark, and from the Big Slick, Tara Smith and Beth Hoops, today's guests as well. Frank Isola of the Daily News for calling in, Jake Tapper, Will Forte, Rob Riggle, David Keckner, Eric Stonestreet, Mitchell Schwartz, Charlie Day, Adam Devine, and the two guys who are sitting here to my left, Paul Rudd, and the man who has signed his World Series 1985 hat that he wore when he was here in Game 6, Bret Saberhagen. Thanks for you guys being here. Really want to appreciate saying that.
Thank you, Rich.
You got it. So he signed your hat, Paul. I mean, how about that?
I know.
Saberhagen signed hat.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. What if I had told that young man who was up the third base line that he would be...
He's got to sign a bowling.
I would have said, "Who are you?"
That's who are you, Rich Eisen?
And why are you talking to me? Mom.
He needs to sign a bowling pin because he beat me in bowling last year. I had a
At the
really,
big
really good lead on him.
Yeah.
And I think the last four frames, all strikes. And
least-
I had a
I
fluke.
turned around and was like, how did that just happen?
It was the flukiest thing.
It wasn't fluky.
It was total fluke. Look, I had, for some crazy reason, a really good game bowling, which I never do. It was a weird thing. And you were very good.
Turned it
bowler.
on.
It'll happen.
Turned it on.
Why do you think there's all these strikeouts in baseball, Brett?
Everybody wants to hit home runs. It's funny. I remember Steve Alboni. I think
Bones.
he took the Gentle Giant. When I was playing with him, I think he led the league maybe once or maybe twice, and he hated it. I mean, he had like 110 strikeouts. I think he led the league one year in 110 strikeouts, and now they've got 110 strikeouts by the break. I just don't get it. I could probably be a strikeout pitcher nowadays instead of more of a control pitcher.
Well, I think part of it's the shift too. That everybody's trying to hit it over and not into it, and pitchers know it, and they throw faster, and they can throw more pinpoint, maybe high, and everybody's striking out. It's just it's so tough to watch sometimes.
And again, you don't have the guys that are pitch efficient now too, is because you got strikeouts. I see guys after 5 innings, they've got 80 something pitches. And I used to be able to get 9 innings in with a good 95 pitches, less than 100.
Why do you think that is?
I just trying to throw the ball as hard as they can, not hitting their spots, not working ahead in the count. And I don't know, maybe some of it is with the switch. You see it all the time.
Who's the toughest hitter you've ever had to face? Who you faced?
Boggsy wore me out, but he wore a lot of guys out.
Wade
I don't
Boggs.
think he hit, 360 lifetime for. Part of it was me. A big part of it was me.
Is that right? Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Man, you didn't stutter. Wade Boggs. That was it.
Yeah.
Which one? The Red Sox Wade Boggs or the?
Yeah, well, I remember one game when we were at Fenway, and I pitched pretty good against the Sox, but there was one game I threw a curveball for first at-bat, base hit. Second at-bat, fastball, base hit. Third at-bat, change-up, base hit. And then I looked around, I was like, hey, Boggsy, I don't have anything else to throw you. Should I just tell you what's coming? Because throw the kitchen sink at him. Three at-bats, 3 hits on different pitches. So he wasn't just a fastball hitter, he was a hitter.
And who was the guy? I was Bret for you also, Paul. George Bret, was that the guy for you?
That was hard to strike out.
No. For you growing up. Yeah. Who was the toughest guy for you to strike out? George Bret.
The toughest guy, I could never get Bret out.
Right.
No. I loved all the guys on the team. I was a big Willie Wilson fan.
Nice.
I really, really liked Willie Wilson as a kid. And I loved Bret too. Everyone loved Bret, but there were a lot of guys, Frank White, Amos Otis, but Willie Wilson,
He could run from home to third base like nobody's business. It was so pretty to watch.
Yeah.
Track balls down.
You have
A lot of
information over there,
mistakes.
Chris?
Wade Boggs hit 450 in his career against you, Brett. 27 for 60.
Wow.
Damn. No wonder you
I
said
think he wore
Boggs
me
last
out.
That's
Wow.
Yeah.
1100 OPS.
Wow.
That's good.
Paul, God bless you and everybody the part of Big Slick doing what you do here for
you
the
guys
kids
are
here.
awesome.
Seriously.
guys.
What
this
you guys
is so
do here-
cool to be here with you. Thank you very much, Rich, for bringing the show here. Too.
40 people don't just drop what they're doing with their families and their business and and come hang out without you and again Stone Street, Keckner, Sudeikis, and Riggle showing the way. I mean, it really you guys do, and your families who are right behind it
Your
too.
families organize it, and it's all nice, and we're incredibly thankful that they come. But when all these people see Children's Mercy Hospital and they see the amazing work that this hospital is doing, I think that's another reason why they keep coming back. It's pretty great.
Well, and thanks for coming here, Brett. Really appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Rich.
You got
Good
it.
to see you.
Good job, Mike and Chris, and thank you to
Great job, buddy.
Kurt and Lisa
Thanks,
of
buddy.
the Hall of Fame here in Kansas City, Don Bowie and
sorry. I thought you were waving at them.
and James Crittenden. I want to thank James for saying yes. When I said to James, let's do this, James is like, I am all in. Thanks to James back home and Liz for doing her job right here and getting all the guests and booking the staff. And Also want to give a shout out to Sydney Scott, Stewart's daughter, graduated from high school today at Miss Porter School in Connecticut. This would have been a great day for Stewart. Thank you, everybody.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.